I think we're all live. We're all good. Hey everybody. I don't know how to start tonight. We've someone's asking in chat already if this is going to be a Captain Morley episode. Boy, have they got some bad. Have we got some bad news for them?
I burned the pirate hat, so
Just
Morley died on the way back to wherever the hell he was going with Arena. That was how the last series.
His home planet.
yeah. Give us some audio. Can you guys hear us? Is everything okay? It always worries me. It looks like you guys should be getting audio. Adam is super quiet. I was telling him that he was super quiet as well.
Yeah, well, I can't yell. I don't want to yell my lungs out. I think it's a setting on.
Oh, you know what? You know what? It's actually a setting.
Sounds fine to me.
It's actually a setting. Well, yeah, I think it's a setting on my side. So it should be better now.
What about this?
No, see, now
Can you
it
hear me
peaked. Now you just shot it straight over the top. So
I
that's...
didn't shoot anything straight over the top. It's you. You're twisting things.
Okay. Well, we're back. This is session 0 of a brand new thing that we're going to be doing, which is I'm pretty excited about. I'm actually like super nervous about
Good.
this campaign. Thank you. I've done a bunch of prep, but I feel still like I've got so much more to do. So should be good. Should be good for like. I think I've prepared like a good 3 to 5 sessions so far, which is I think on track.
Well, it'll probably take us about 10 then.
That's what I'm hoping. That is what I'm hoping for sure. Yeah. And for people that have tuned in to see John and Joe, well, I've got some more bad news for you. Just
JoJo's.
I think Joe's in the chat tonight. And John's probably just enjoying his Monday nights for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure, he didn't enjoy them when we were playing with him on Monday nights. He loathed it. He was always saying that.
And for those who may have skipped all of Curse of Strahd and didn't know that Reese didn't play in that, here he is. He's back. He's back.
Oh,
Yeah. Reese, thank you so much for joining us for this. It's been
my pleasure.
It's been a very, very long time.
Looking forward to it.
Without you in the stream. Who have we got? And I just want to say hello to who we've got in the chat tonight as well. Looks like we have Squished, Cappuccino, Drop Shadows here, Hoju the Elder, Lyndon Hood's here. Jerison So is the Morley fan, the one who wanted more Morley, and they're here as well. But thank you to everyone who's joining us.
A relative.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I feel like it's someone that Adam knows, just trolling him.
The only explanation for someone enjoying my portrayal of Morley, in your mind, is that someone wishing to troll me. It's the only other explanation.
And they're a blood relative.
My blood relatives don't enjoy my work.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at anything else that's happening in the chat.
So good.
Who's the new guy? There's not. What do you mean new guy? That's Reese. If anything, you should know him as Sig. So, but
But you can't recognize him because he looks completely different, Reagan.
That is true. That is. I'm. I love that you've come dressed up for this session. By the way, Reese, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I feel inferior.
Yeah, underdressed, eh?
Finally. How do we want to start this?
At the beginning.
Let's talk characters, I guess. Since Reese, since you are all dressed up, obviously this campaign, is a new campaign, new characters, a fresh start for everything here, and it's a homebrew one, so there's a lot of pressure on. For me, I'm putting the pressure personally on. But
because you can't blame
I can't
the
say
writer
like,
of the book.
Yeah. Which I did a lot of. I just put a whole bunch
Yeah,
of blame
they're
on the author.
constant.
Yeah.
Even the tech issues. Blame it on the book.
Yeah. They were. It was weird that they built those into the campaign. It's really strange.
Odd, I thought. Yeah.
Wizards.
Yeah. Okay, so Reese, do you want to tell us? We'll start, I reckon, by talking about the characters because I know we've got two of the characters fleshed out a bit more. I think the third one was being fleshed out today, which is great. But we still need to sort of understand a little bit about how they all come together and who they are. So I figure since we've already touched on the fact that you're dressed up, Reese, why don't you tell us a little bit about your character for Kalderra's Call?
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. You're looking at Beeko Pinston's face currently. I'm still trying to work out a voice for him. I was going to go with maybe old school DJ Beeko Pinston voice. Or just, hi, I'm Beeko Pinston. And just talk a little bit quicker. But I figured either of these voices might be super painful for hundreds of hours. So, haven't figured that out.
For you?
Yet. Everyone, probably.
Music to my ears.
Yeah. With Sig, I tried to pick one thing and try to keep that consistent, which was just a teeny bit lower than what I normally speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a struggle. So we'll see.
Oh.
Beeko Pinston is a rogue, though in the campaign I will describe him as a pre-physician, which means he's like a physician, but he's not. Like, he didn't become a physician, he was going to, and failed at that all miserably. And the flavor text around it is typically with a rogue, you've got like sneak attack, right? And does a little bit more damage and blah. And how I thought I'd frame that is anatomical knowledge that, if you stab them right in the tibia, it really hurts. So that would kind of be his flavor on what that rogue is.
Yeah, cool.
So Beeko is a dwarf, and he has starting equipment of 2 daggers and a short bow, and he's 28, I think, and he's got sort of grew up with a family of physicians, and everyone was like, yeah, he'll totes be a physician like everyone else. But he really sucked at it. So more recently, he's been harvesting mushrooms for the family business, which are used in physician-y land for their mushroom stuff. And how he's going to sort of appear in the campaign and bump into other characters is that he's looking for these really rare mushrooms, which don't come from where he normally is. So it is out venturing forth, and it's kind of his first OE out further from the city and out from his family and out into the world. And he's kind of hoping that there's a bit more to his life than just mushroom collecting. He's probably not going to know too much about the world around him, like, you guys do stuff differently here and that sort of jazz. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm happy to field any questions or talk in a strange voice.
I'm trying to decide which of those two voices was my favorite.
I can oscillate too.
Smooth tones of just a radio DJ throughout the entire campaign, or just the idea of just keeping you at the strained falsetto throughout the entire thing.
I reckon the high pitched one could have caused my throat cancer from earlier, dude. So maybe I can just pretend I'm playing Burnout and squeal every time my car drifts.
Yeah,
and I can talk like that.
Okay.
We'll see.
You could change every time you eat a different mushroom. You could have a different voice.
I like that.
Well, please eat another mushroom.
So he's a dwarf. Is he tall or short for a dwarf, or is he just kind of like average dwarven height? Like, what are we?
Yeah, pretty average for a dwarf, which is short for a human.
Yeah.
You won't see my hips on stream at all. That's how short he is.
Well,
you're letting down a lot of our user base here.
Yeah.
And is 28 old or young for a dwarf? Right? We haven't had
That's
any.
super young.
That is super young.
Okay. And I think even for people, it's pretty entry level. I'll see what other deets I've got in this character
The
sheet.
entry level for a human's about 1, so that 0 sometimes.
Sure.
Entry level age, yeah.
yeah.
It's like it's the free tier, right? You just turn up for that.
Yeah. Cool. And
So what kind of a dwarf? Is he a mountain dwarf or a hill dwarf?
Yeah, definitely one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that question is very near where I'm looking, but not close enough for my eyes to find it. So
okay.
let's keep those as top 2 for now.
right.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now, I think you put out the idea that a way that all of the characters could know each other is that they were part of some kind of merchant group, or sort of like a traveling merchant group. Is that what the idea was?
So hill dwarfs use sort of merchant convoys going between different large cities, right? So you don't just want to go between a large city and Faerun just by yourself. So a whole bunch of merchants and so on group together and be like, yeah, we'll hire Steve to be the guy that carries the weapon, and get a whole bunch of people going between the different cities. And Beeko thought that would be a good way to talk to some people and get reliably to a destination he hasn't been before. And then potentially maybe a DM strolls in and things don't quite go to plan, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Are there any questions about Beeko? Beeko, I love that as a name. Any other questions from the others for now? Or we'll probably come back to it at some point. But let's move on to Adam, because I know you've had some thinks about yours as well. Some thoughts.
I've had some thinks, all right.
You've been thinking about it.
Some big old thinks. Yeah.
Look, it's going to take a wee while for me to get back into the flow of this. It's been a very long
not
time.
to get into the flow of speaking the English language, surely. Presumably you've been doing that while we've
barely.
Okay. My character is Lovejoy Solomus. He is a human. He is a sorcerer. The backstory of Lovejoy: he's the 10th son of a nobleman from a large city. As the 10th son, he was often overlooked or ignored. His brothers are far more involved in statesmanlike activities and carrying forward the family legacy. But not unloved by any means, but suffering from having very little attention from his family. At the age of 25, Lovejoy left the family manor and set forth on a journey of independent self-discovery, determined to forge his own path and character. After brief forays into blacksmithery, art, and animal husbandry, Lovejoy, or Love as he likes to be called, has finally found his true calling, antiques. His passion for weird and wonderful trinkets led to a successful antiques business in the city of Greenbow. But as his clientele grew, so did the pressure to keep finding amazing and unique pieces. 4 years into his blossoming career as an antiques dealer, Love did the unthinkable. He began forging antiques and passing them off to wealthy clients. It wasn't long before someone caught on, and his reputation was in tatters, forcing him to flee under the cover of darkness and hit the road to rebuild his life, and maybe even his reputation. Okay. Eventually, he stumbled upon a merchant caravan, where he set up a traveling business dealing in antiques and terrible artwork.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Does he do the artwork?
Some of it. Yes.
Or just buys it?
But generally, like, I don't know if you've ever been to an antique store, but I have. Okay. And some of the artwork in there is just odd. And that's the type of, like, I'm not talking like a David Hockney or anything like that. I'm talking about, just a weird piece that you'd go, who painted that? Who would buy that? It specializes in a lot of who would buy that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Like if you go to the dump shop.
Yeah, I mean, let's not besmirch the dump shop's good reputation. But yeah, sure, the dump shop.
What's Lovejoy's race?
He's a human.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Just a human.
All
just
right.
A plain old, absolute.
How old is he?
I was going to say he's a bit older.
Because you said he set off at 25.
Yeah. But I was rethinking that because the picture of the character in my head is a little bit of an older chap, maybe late 30s. You know, his prime is sort of past him, but he's not so old that he's going to be, you know, hobbling around an absolute, you know, oh, my knee's gone, I can't do any fighting.
But
well,
it's a proper
30's
second
probably not a good
start.
idea then, because it did happen to me when I turned 30.
Yeah.
I do like that he set off at 25 to try and build back his reputation. He's like 30, late 30s now. Like, it's not happening.
It's never going to happen, is it?
It is not happening.
If anything, it's just getting worse.
The late bloomer.
Yeah.
Wait for his high school reunion's going to be fun.
So
What
he's
does
a
he look?
sorcerer.
What does he
He
look
is.
like?
So I don't know if anyone's seen the show Dickinson's Real Deal.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
Of course I fucking have.
I would Google it. Dickinson is the antiques guy off that. I'm thinking like a younger Dickinson, but dressing like the older Dickinson. He's very orange, Dickinson, but I don't need the orange part of Dickinson. Just the,
Have he's got
look.
the same hairdo?
Half moon spectacles and kind of like a bouffant kind of hairstyle.
Fantastic.
Almost mullety, isn't it?
It is almost
Yes.
mullety, yeah.
I think Dickinson might host Cash in the Attic as well, which is another show you could Google.
Okay.
He looks a bit similar to John Pertwee. Right.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Really relevant reference there of one of the early Doctor Who's.
Getting back into our
Fucking
references like real quickly. This is great.
Oh my god. Yeah. And obviously Lovejoy, the name, is from Lovejoy, the TV show about
Giving it
an
away.
antique dealer.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Nice.
I don't watch many antiques TV shows,
I mean,
being honest.
watch any of the shows I've referenced because they've been on air for the last 30 years. But yeah.
Keeping it relevant. I love it. That is fantastic. I forgot to ask, and I think I forgot to ask because you're already dressed up, but what does Beeko look like? Have you thought about... I mean, other than black shaggy hair and a black beard, I mean, that's kind of it, really, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
What's the... is it a hat or is it a hood?
Leather helmet.
Oh, leather helmet. Okay.
Ah.
This is like leathery armor as well.
Okay.
And I've got a sweet arm thing.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
Which Beeko bought from an antique dealer, maybe. That looks
Oof.
very
It's not real
expensive.
leather, my
It's
friend.
probably ineffectual combat, we'll see.
Do you know when I went to Florence, which is like the leather capital of like Europe, they make a big deal out of like leather goods. And this guy hounded me. I was really looking for a wallet. I wanted to. This is getting way off track. Don't worry about it. Forget it.
No, we're in there now.
You can't leave us hanging. Oh, actually, we just lost all our viewers. Just
This
because
is the
we're talking about-
D&D story, for real.
No, give us the story.
Well, this guy was like trying to get me to buy this wallet, and he was like, "It's real Italian leather." And I had no sort of thoughts that it wouldn't be. And then he got out this lighter to demonstrate that it was real leather. And he said, "You can tell it's real Italian leather because it won't burn." And he lit the lighter, and he literally just passed it across the wallet as quick as you can imagine. And I thought, well, unless that had been made of fucking rice paper, it wasn't going to be engulfed in flames. It was the worst demonstration. Anyway, I was convinced it was real leather. Bought it. For, I don't know.
Just
how
you
many
saw his demo, and you're just like.
by that point, I was
believe
over
you now.
it, and I was like, look, it looks.
Science.
Got it home, and then the company I was working for at the time, for whatever reason, had some guy come around every 6 months, was like selling like leather goods. And I went to him, and he went, "Are you interested?" And I go, "Oh no." But I know this is an odd request, but could you take a look at my wallet and tell me if this is real leather? And he spent ages with it. He went, "Mate, I don't know what this is, but it's not fucking leather."
Did he get out a lighter and just pass it under
No,
it?
no. I told him the story, and he just shook his head. Anyway, the story is basically I got conned in Florence.
Okay.
Made from a fruit roll up.
Not dissimilar.
That is hell of a trick, though, isn't it? Like, to your flame. Yeah. there we
Oh,
go,
look,
real
it
leather.
won't catch on fire. Nothing would at that speed.
It obviously works, though. It
mean,
does
you got a
that
sail out
multiple
of it.
times a day. Yeah.
Okay, so human
Oh,
sorcerer called Lovejoy or Love. Is that right?
Correct.
That looks like John Pertwee.
Well, looks more like Dickinson.
Dickinson.
Oh,
Like a
Dickinson.
younger Dickinson.
Okay.
Of related
What is he wearing though? Is he wearing a pinstripe suit?
I imagine that he's wearing not a pinstripe suit, but like very much like tweed. Like looks like he stepped out of an old English country manor.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
And half moon spectacles, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And is he a bit of a con artist? Or is
Well,
he straight up?
I think he's trying to be reformed, but the pressure often gets to him to have something new and something interesting. And the other thing is, I think he's always pretending he knows a little bit more about the subject than he actually does. Oh yes, this is a one of these things from this era. It's an original, but not really sure. Not really in a trying to hoodwink people or be totally deceitful, but in a I'm embarrassed about my lack of knowledge and I will try and cover it up.
Like a half guess.
Like a man,
Half knowledge.
you might say.
Okay, like a man. Yeah.
Yes.
Is he the sort of person that would sell a leather wallet by putting a flame under it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, all right. I got it.
Or a leather gauntlet, which isn't real leather. Yeah.
There we go.
To an
Oh,
unsuspecting
okay.
prephysician.
Don't go putting that gauntlet under any sort of over any flame.
Yeah, that will go up like that. It's a fire hazard.
Yeah, block a flame with it.
Do you have a voice in mind for Love?
I think so, but I might leave it until gameplay to unveil it. I'm still refining it. It's got to be like Reese said. It's got to be sustainable.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Are you familiar with the actor Bobcat Goldthwait?
Yeah.
Well, he did it.
For
You can do it.
years. Okay, any other questions for Love at this point?
Yeah, what is this, like a sorcerer? Are they the ones that have the
What is a
demon-
sorcerer? I like it.
Well, what's the difference between like a wizard and is a sorcerer got a they've signed a pact, or is that a different thing?
That's a warlock.
I think sorcerer is
Warlock, okay.
innate talent, right? Wizard is trained, like with books and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I've
he's
got
somehow like a bit magic.
Yes, and this is from, I think, I've yet to discuss this or confirm this with Reagan, but there's this idea of wild magic. And yeah, I've yet to look into fully how it works, but I guess when spell casting, there's an element of like some wild magic may also happen, which may cause like stuff on a table of wild magic.
That's right. I remember us talking about that. That's awesome. There's kind of like anytime I'm not sure if it's any time you do a spell, but then you roll a d20, and if you roll a certain number, then you roll off this table as well.
It's once per turn. The DM can have you roll a d20.
Yeah. And I did some quick sort of Googling on what people thought of that situation. They said unless you're asking them to do it every time they do anything, it's not worth doing, because there's such a low chance of it ever actually kicking in. So if you only ask it once or twice a session, it's just there's no point even having it. So
because it's you roll a d20, and if you roll a 1, that's when the wild magic would happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a 5% chance.
And
which is
that
pretty
one's
low.
a TPK, I imagine.
I think there's one of them on the table is basically here we go, wild magic. You just cast a fireball at level 3 on yourself.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Is that all? What?
So you
Is there any good ones?
You roll a d20 immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell of first level or higher. If you roll a 1, then you have to roll on the wild magic surge table. So it's almost like your spell overloads basically, and you roll a d100, and there's just a bunch of stuff on that list.
So it can be like good things.
Some of them have like a 2% chance of happening. Some of them have like a little higher. So there's things like you regain resistance to all damage for the next minute. So yeah, so there are good things, but there are also like TPK stuff in here.
Dang.
Because like you, so it's like a 2% chance of just casting fireball centered on you. So at level 1, if that occurred, like, and you're all near each other, that's game. That's game over, basically. Yeah.
But it sounds like, I think it would go well with the character. I thought that would be quite good.
There's some good
Imagine
ones.
if we all died like that. That'd be fine.
Yeah, because the fireball's at like level 3, so it's a decent spell being cast.
Which is why Reagan and I talked about whether we'd want to use it or not.
I'm totally down for it.
Do you want to use it or?
Because it's like, so the chance of you getting that fireball is like 2% of 5%. You have to get a 1 first, and then you have to roll 2 very specific numbers to get that fireball.
Yeah, that never happened.
It could be a good strategy, right? Like sneak up to the bad guys and just keep like sparking sparks in your hands like thousands of times until it goes
Until you explode.
And personal nuke.
So he's a kamikaze.
All right.
Do the thing. No, do the thing.
Cappuccino's in the chat is saying, please do wild magic, which I agree. After reading about it, it seemed like...
That sounds fun.
It does. It sounds super cool. So...
Well, you could change the table to be like all themed around Dickinson's Real Deal. And like... he produces a fan of money.
There's certainly a lot of work.
Money is produced.
I don't know if the lore of Dickinson's Real Deal was rich enough to furnish an entire wild magic.
I'll tell you what, if you can create a table, a D100 table of Dickinson's stuff, I can make some amendments for sure.
I love how we've all just accepted that this is a bit of a common cultural touchstone that we can talk about. Dickinson's Real Deal.
I don't even...
Hands up if you've genuinely ever seen an episode. Okay, just...
Hands up if you've heard of it before. Adam just brought it up.
I've seen him. I definitely have seen him.
Yeah.
Good.
Lap Kiwi in the chat said he saw one. There you go.
There you go.
So,
Worth it.
so it's very, very well known by the sounds of things. But yeah, I'm very keen. So normally the rule, as written, it says that once per turn the DM can have you roll a d20 if you do a spell of first level or higher. If we're doing Wild Surge, it will be, if you're doing a spell, roll a d20 along with it. It'll be literally every spell. All good? Is that good? Okay, cool. Shannon, what about now? I don't know if I know that you were sort of rolling around some ideas for your character today. Why don't you tell us what you got?
Yeah, I've been mulling it over in my head for a while. I was thinking, am I going to use like a gnome character or something? But I wanted to be a cleric.
Okay.
So that's set. And I think I'm going to be a human cleric called Gilded Golddong. I don't know why you've got your hands in your
Gilded
there.
Goldbone.
Glowbone.
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 Bone.
Glowbone or bow?
Glowboner.
Bone.
No, it's French.
Glowing boner. No. The thing is, the glowbone part came up as like,
Because it's just glowing
it
all the
suggests
time.
names to you. It suggests
right.
names to you when you're making it in D&D Beyond, and it's like, okay.
You were like, I'm not going to get better than that.
Sold.
It's yeah, okay, fair enough. I've been
Gilded
Goldbone. I liked
yeah, it's similar to Gilded, but Gildon.
Gildong. Gildong Glowbone. Okay, good.
No, Golden Dong Glowboner.
There's a guy behind D&D Beyond just cracking up. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be screwed for a couple of years. Yeah, but I thought because he's a cleric, he's going to be you have to choose a deity basically, and going to be following the god of light.
I'm not some
So
boner-based god, no?
The bone maybe just came from his bone family.
Okay.
The boners. But Gilded sounds gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be human cleric. That is got the god of light.
The god of light. 2 humans in the team. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, what does your guy look like? Which, which obsolete UK TV show are we basing it on?
Yeah, John Pertwee. I haven't really sorted this out, but he's got the ability to wear very heavy armor.
Oh,
and
okay.
He's a bit of a wall, I suppose. He's a bit chunky. He's probably got a big blonde mustache, I think.
Does he look?
He's about 35.
Like the guy from Are You Being Served who works behind the counter.
Oh, see, I was picturing Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yes.
Does he tear his shirt off every time, like, he
Hulk
starts?
Hogan. No, he's not that. He's not like cut. He's not like super muscly.
Okay.
His strength is normal. It's like 10.
Oh, okay.
So
he's just a bit more solid than he is strong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like someone from Are You Being Served? But
Okay.
was it Major? I forget.
No,
Captain Mannering? No.
that was Dad's Army, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, he's like someone from Dad's Army. Now we're cooking. Okay, so all right, here's the thing, right? He has heard the voice of God always throughout his life, this light God. So that's sort of led him to being into being a cleric in the temple. He works in the temple, but he's not actually really into it. In fact, he kind of finds it kind of tedious hearing God all the time because the God isn't saying anything interesting. It's just talking about light all the time.
Yeah.
But he has other interests. So he's actually he got found out that he was embezzling money from the temple for about 3 years, and now has to pay it back. He's promised that he's going to pay it back, so he's leaving on a quest to somehow get money. So he embezzled the money.
Ted. The money was just resting in my account, and he has to go to Craigie Island to pay the money back.
Was that? I missed that part. Yeah. He looks like Father Ted because Father Ted's a cleric.
Bold.
Yeah. How old?
And he's not that into. Not that into God.
How old is the Gilded Golddong?
35. And he spent all the money embezzled on. He lost at gambling, so he's well into gambling.
Okay. So we've got like 3 just losers, yeah?
Degenerates. Just roaming the land, hoping to stumble across someone else that they can con.
Yeah, a failed physician, someone who's been searching for his reputation for the last 15 years, and someone who owes is basically the people that raised him and trained him up money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although he's not a con artist per se or anything. He is good, but he just has weaknesses for gambling. He's always on the lookout for money, but he's not going to steal money from a starving child or something.
Okay.
Very judgy, Reagan. Well, we're none of us perfect. Sorry that you've led such a monastic lifestyle that cannot be faulted.
Well, it was more that I was looking at the document that Joe put together for us for Curse of Strahd, and one of the things is morality. What are we agreeing on in terms of the type of adventurers we want to be? So, so the question is, are you guys wanting to be people who become heroes, or is it about more selfish needs? Like, what are you guys wanting out of the kind of feel for the characters as a whole, the direction for the story? If you've even thought of that.
I figure Lovejoy would be an accidental hero, if a hero at all. I don't think he's got a bad bone in him, glow bone.
Yes.
But I think deeply flawed. But that could be an interesting character arc. I think, always trying to be better, always trying to learn from mistakes, maybe be better than you were yesterday, kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah. Similar vibes for Beeko, I think. He's like lawful good, but he's just not very good at things. So happy to help out and will obey the law and so on, and be quite happy to save the day, but will probably trip over and fall on his face on the way.
Okay, cool. With the kind
similar
of
for
yeah.
Yep, similar for Gilded. He will. He's, if I had to pick a alignment, it's chaotic good. So he's trying to do good, but he will constantly fuck it up, probably.
Yeah. And you guys see one of the reasons I was wanting to know how you guys knew each other. I really liked the idea of this traveling merchants that you guys have joined at some point that leads to the start of this campaign that we're going to do. Is that ideally I want you to all kind of know each other, have spoken to each other, learned each other's backstories a bit more. You're a bit more. You may have been traveling for a few months or maybe a year already as part of this group. So definitely, it'd be awesome if you guys can share things that each other might know, or bonds that might have grown over the time. And like, I'm open to any of it. So if you guys have any sort of ideas that you think, Beeko might like Gordon for some reason, I call it Gilded for some reason. Or
might like
You're deeply invested in the characters already. Beeko might like Gordon for some reason.
Well, I don't want to make those reasons. I want to sort of lean on you guys to grow those sort of reasons, if that makes sense.
Gordon's a good name, though.
Gordon Gecko.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Two great Gordons you could take inspiration from.
Who's Gordon Gecko?
Wall Street.
Oh. I want to watch that. I haven't seen it, so...
You haven't seen Wall Street?
Nah.
Have you seen Hot Shots
I'd like
Part
to.
2?
I have.
Yeah. I loved you in Wall Street. It's great. Anyway. So I guess there would have been like many round the campfire nights in this like traveling merchant caravan, right? Like getting to know each other, sharing some damper. You had damper when they were in like scouts or whatever. Horrible campfire bread.
How big do you
on a
guys?
stick.
How big do you reckon the merchant group is? Like, how many people do you think make it up?
So you're going to say how big is the damper? But how big?
Reese had a good.
How big is the merchant group?
Reese had a good idea that we were chatting about in Discord, which was that one day that we woke up and the rest of the traveling merchant group had left without us, which I really like.
That is 100% how our campaign is going to start, by the way.
It's perfect.
I've already built that into the opening sort of story. So yeah.
That's good.
Well, actually, we might as well go into that now as well, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring that in during the opening moments or if it's better we talk about it now. But I want there to be like a reason that you've all just annoyed them enough to just leave you in the middle of the night. It's like something that you guys have done. Maybe you three have gotten along really well together, or you're annoying them in some other way. But it's always the three of you that's doing this thing, and they've finally had enough, and they've abandoned you in the middle of the night. So what sort of things? Is it
Well,
making,
my character would.
maybe it's making
annoying.
references from 30, 40-year-old media?
They're like, no, we haven't seen Wall Street. No.
We're all kind of not very good at things. So if there's a merchant train of a bunch of people, and it's like, okay, you guys have to do the night shift, and you guys, I don't know, pack the bags, and we just always don't do a good job of things. And we've been on the same merchant convoy for a year or two, going between the major cities, and they're like, oh, these losers again, and they sleep in the morning, and you can imagine the guard just being like, yeah, sure, that's everyone. Let's move on.
Right.
Perhaps something like that.
I just want to say we've had who was this? Natural 20s has just brought in a party of 6 with a raid. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. We're just going through a session 0 for a new campaign. So we're just sort of detailing how the characters know each other, trying to figure out all the little intricacies before we get started. So thank you for joining in. But yeah,
I feel like
there's
there's things about each of us which a large group could find not horrific, but not to their tastes and want to leave behind, right? You've got essentially a preacher or someone who could be a bit of a religious zealot who that could
He's
get
not
on
that
people's
religious.
wick. Okay, that's that. Well, great yes ending.
You're right. You're
He's
right,
a cleric,
Barry,
but he's not that religious.
Yeah, he's not that religious, but he is always trying to get people to sign up because
it's pretty
Right.
good
money off them.
Yeah. Well, so you've got like someone who's trying to convert you, and you've got maybe Lovejoy's sold some bung antiques or given some bad information on a regular basis to these people. Like, oh, that looks like it's from the Crusoic era, but it's not. What are you talking about? That's not what it is at all. Been found out a couple of times.
Like they've purchased things with the idea of that they'll be able to sell it for heaps more elsewhere, and when they go to sell it, they're just like laughed at. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Beeko would be pretty good at giving poor physician advice as well. Oh, just have a bit of milk on that, and then just leave it overnight. Keep it damp, and it'll clear right up.
People
Classic
just
wound
waking,
care. Keep it damp.
Yeah,
just waking up with gangrene and stuff. Just
yeah.
Oh, like one of those walking one weird trick type thing from the internet. So it's like sleep with socks, onions in your socks, and
Yeah, doctors hate him. Literally, he's poor at his job.
With good reason.
Yeah.
okay, cool. So it's just kind of maybe it's like it's a happenstance that it's you three that they've it's not that you guys have done anything as a group that's annoyed them. It's just individually they think they're better off to just.
And we would have gravitated to each other as well. The three
Birds of a feather.
merchant caravan, and so it becomes easy for them to go. Oh, should we? Those three guys. Should we make sure they're sleeping in a certain way tonight, and we'll be up early in the morning. Say no more about it.
I think too.
we're in like a bush or something.
Super nefarious from their side of things. That like, look, let's just get a couple hours ahead of them. It'll be fine. And initially, if we see the convoy leave, there'll be a bunch of tracks. I'm like, yeah, we can totally catch up. But we don't take it potentially as seriously as we should. And maybe the rain comes past and then there goes the tracks. And the time ticks on a little bit where we're like, yeah, they're totally around the next bend. But being poor at life like we are, we potentially just veer off in a different direction.
Yet again, our own incompetence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, trusty incompetence.
3 heroes, the likes of
donkeys?
which you'll never see.
Because they're lost. They're gone.
Yeah.
Do we have donkeys? Did you say? Very
Do we
specific.
have anything like? Do we have a cart or
You will.
with all of our shit, or do we carry it?
You will. You'll know what you've got when we start officially with session 1. So you'll know what they've left you
Wheelbarrow.
with versus what they've taken. Yeah. But I don't imagine it's going to be too much because they're getting rid of you. They probably want to keep as much of stuff to themselves as possible. But we'll see.
250,000 gold.
Three-legged donkey would be good.
A three-legged donkey. Yeah, just like there's one annoying horse for some reason that they've left with you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it's not their donkey from Shrek, we're all good.
Oh, cross those notes out.
Well, no, maybe we should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shrek roleplay.
Just me putting
Can't
on
wait to
like
see
an Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy voice. That's going to be great. Yeah.
And a Shrek voice. Everyone does a fucking Shrek voice anyway. In
That's true.
D&D for their...
So one of the first questions on this document as well is the tone. What sort of tone are you guys wanting this this campaign to be in? Obviously, we went pretty dark
Serious.
with Curse of Steel. Serious, just like we want to do like encumbrance and making sure you guys hunt for food and eat it and stuff like that.
Would die pretty fast.
I want every toilet break noted. I'll be keeping track of like your bowel motions and bladder passing.
And
Oh, you've rolled a
consistency of
1.
those
That's
deliveries
another.
too.
Yeah. There's constipation involved.
Yeah.
It's a very bowel motion heavy campaign. Weirdly detailed.
So yeah, and with the sort of tone, how much humor do you guys want, and when do we think it might go too far? Because I know we've talked about this in some sort of aspect before, but in general, out of the tone that we've had previously, as far as like the jokes are concerned, it's been awesome, except for like 1% of the time. So in general, it's been fantastic for me. So I'd love to know what you guys think as well, or what you guys are wanting.
I want that 1% just constantly.
It's just like
No.
It's tricky. I think I'm going to try and be in character. You know, I think Reese, you did an amazing job of being in character, and it sort of moved the game along, but it was still in its own way funny.
I would say.
Yeah,
Sorry, you go.
Okay, it's going to be like
All right,
this.
none of that during actual session.
Yeah. Yeah, I think each of our characters would have their own sense of humor, right? But still in a safer the internet type gauge.
Yeah. I guess it's just that we, with our first, Lost Mine of Phandelver was very sort of light and cartoony, I feel. And as was kind of our origin story for Morley, that was quite light and fun. And then Curse of Strahd was just like grim, dark. Everything was kind of punished. No good deed went unpunished. And it had like a very oppressive feel. And if those are at different ends of the scale, where are we wanting to sort of aim this one more towards?
I like the
me,
grimness of Strahd.
Yeah.
But it was hard to do that over such a long period of time. So maybe back it off a little bit from that.
Okay.
And I still like to play with like lots of jokes and humor, but perhaps I'll make an effort. Well, not perhaps. I will make an effort to have less non sequiturs, like, long. Probably like a good example would be not bringing up the time I went to Florence and got fleeced on a non-leather wallet.
Or say it in a D&D way. I mean, because it was a perfect example of your character then, actually.
Someone in the chat, by the way, by the name of Magnus Twitch said, it's good to be careful with your characters that are too goofy. If you don't think a gimmick will still be funny in 2 months, it's usually best to axe it. And I think that's great. It's a great point, by the way.
Thanks for the advice on comedy. It's just that I've won several awards. No, I'm just being.
That was months ago.
How about the others? How about you, Shannon? From Curse of Strahd to sort of Lost Mine, where would you find
the
yourself?
tone of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like both, but I would say, I would like a sort of a heroic adventure where we end up doing exciting things that we wouldn't expect. We bumble into them or whatever, but in the end, we managed to do some big things, I guess, and not too dark, I guess.
Okay. No, like 2 hour
really.
long funerary services like in Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay.
But did get some good commentary on the woodwork of coffins.
Yeah.
So that was always good.
Yeah. How about you, Reese? From sort of like more lighthearted to serious and a bit more, no, not punished, but I guess like delving into the details of the misery that might occur in a story versus just if something's bad happens, lightly touching it, that kind of thing. Where would you fall?
Or maybe a medium roast.
Yeah.
So you've got enough content to sort of get you going through the story rather than those villagers all got flayed and we're eating their flesh. Anyway, jokes.
Yeah.
And not so far on the other side that we've all got PTSD and it's really tough going. So
yeah.
I think in using characters in-game humor when it works makes sense, but still have them have some, I guess, respect for the situation that they still want to survive the rest of the day. And potentially you might not be joking heaps if you're bleeding to death or that sort of thing. So somewhere around the middle perhaps could work.
Yeah, I think in general we do a good job of kind of making sure that there's fun when there needs to be fun and then there's seriousness when it needs to be serious. I think I've learned that it's just like there are certain things that can be skipped over. Things don't have to be fully detailed all the time depending on how it is. I don't want to end a session with you guys feeling like really shit about something. I don't mind something bad happening and you guys feeling like something serious has occurred, but I don't want anyone to come away from a session like legitimately down over how serious something might have been, because I think there were a couple of moments during Curse of Strahd that absolutely occurred, and I want to avoid that unless you guys are really just hungry for more of that. Then we can just jump on that as well. And I personally am quite happy to move away from that. How do you guys feel about being betrayed by other players or the DM for major plot points? For example, a player is actually evil and poisoning you, or the DM has been pitting you against each other the whole time. Would that be fun? Would that be frustrating? Would you feel kind of violated by that? In regards to like trust or...
I would be okay with it if I was in on it, and then I could play it as you go along. If it's a surprise and you get backstabbed right at the end of the game or something, it's kind of can be a bit shit.
Yeah, there was definitely opportunity in Curse of Strahd for like, for example, when you picked up the ice stuff and then you suddenly became power hungry, right? Though I was unsure about the best way to do those, as in should I just sort of explain it to everyone and everyone just has to meta that their characters don't know it but the players kind of understand what's going on, versus when the session ended talking to you privately, Shannon, and saying, okay, so what's happened is you've picked up this thing and now this has occurred and no one else is going to know that's what's happening. Depending on what you got, because I know a lot of DMs do that. A lot of DMs have those kind of quiet moments, secret moments between players.
Yeah, notes and stuff like that. I think I preferred everyone knowing though, because everyone knows what's going on as far as there's a role play going on and it's an overarching story. And if you know that, then you can play into it a bit better. If you don't, then you're like sort of bumbling around, and then at the end it's like, well, what did I just get ripped off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit shit.
I think it's more realistic if you have maybe the conversation out of game and like let it play out, but it potentially creates a worse atmosphere if it's like quite serious, because then you got a bunch of players wondering, well, why is this one guy suddenly become such a prick?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sounds.
I don't know. I'm undecided on it. I quite like not knowing the idea of not knowing everything and like having some stuff surprise me. But I guess I don't like the idea of like one of us as players having a hidden agenda from the start or something, or independently acting to work against the group. Right? Like we start the adventure in good faith as a cooperative aiming to do good. And if something happens along the way, then it should be because of the story, not because someone just decides like, oh, my character's now gonna be sneaky and sees an opportunity to do something devious.
Yeah. That's like the typical like young group of D&D players where one of them's a rogue and they start like, oh, because I can steal things, I'm going to start stealing things from my party and stuff like. It's just like it's not fun. Like, why would they hang out with you? Why would your characters be sort of traveling together? Are there specific character arcs that you would like to play out for your characters? So you're obviously you've got like the character looking for his redemption, or kind of trying to find himself again. Is that something you want to have played out? Shannon, your character Gilbert, he
Gilbert O'Sullivan.
He's got like that gambling thing. So is that something that you'd like to have touched upon? His gold bone.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, if I get my hands on money, I'll probably be gambling it. If that's
All right.
Okay with anyone, but let me know if that is. And I imagine I would just lose it. It's just so terrible with money. And the reason that he is out there, he's well liked at the temple. I think they understand that he's a bit like that. So, but they just have to get rid of him so he can go and probably improve himself. So he tries to get people to sign up for the church because they have to pay 15% of their income.
Right.
And instead of sending it back to the temple, he'll probably gamble it.
Right.
So if that plays out, if that plays out in the thing, that'd be good. I don't know what the outcome is. We'll see. I don't need a predefined outcome for him.
Yeah. I guess it's a bit of that. What happens quite a lot in D&D campaigns is there's obviously your overarching story, and then it's up to the DM to try and find means to get each player character's like backstory involved and entwine it in and sort of resolve something. Is that something you guys are wanting? Are there things you want to have resolved for your characters, or are you happy just to stick to the campaign story? Are there layers to what you guys are after? This is just to help me.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it played into it a bit, but I don't want to like take over from the overarching story. But yeah, if there was some integration of, whatever I just said.
Yeah, cool.
not take over, you know.
But is there like a character other than just like a trait, which is the gambling stuff, or that, you know, he talks to his god? Is there like an arc that you want your character to go on, or is it just whatever arc he is, as long as his personality traits and his backstory is touched on, it doesn't really, there's no specific endpoint you're looking for?
His goal is to make so much money that he pays back the temple, and then has a great life, and he can gamble because he doesn't think he's gambling. He always thinks it's a sure bet.
Cool.
So if he wants to be rich, I guess. But if that happens, I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
Whatever happens.
Awesome. How about for Beeko with his like failed physician? Is there sort of like an end goal for him in regards to this whole heading out on his own? Is there something that he's trying to hit for? And would you want that completed by the end of this, or at least like he's on the journey through it by the end of this?
Right. Yeah, I think ideally Beeko wants to not just be a mushroom collector. He's realized that physicianing isn't really going to be him. He would have copped some sort of less than approving looks from his parents who have been in physician lines for generations, right? And he's like, oh, I can still help. I can do mushroom things. But he kind of wants to make his parents proud eventually and do something a little bit more in his life, which is partly why he's going out into the world to try and find something. What that something is, he's not sure.
Okay, cool.
You know, if he can be heroic or something like that along the journey of whatever the main story is that we're doing, that would totally tick that box. And eventually, one day, he would like to sort of see what he's going to do with his life. He doesn't feel like mushroom collecting is the plan for the rest of his days, but currently he's quite optimistic and positive about mushroom collecting. He's not kind of letting it out that actually it's not the greatest, but yeah.
This mushroom collecting, is he looking for any specific kind of mushroom? Are they medicinal? Are they hallucinatory? Are they just for flavor? Like, what is he looking for?
Yeah, so they're all medicinal to help his family physicianing sort of business.
Yeah.
And I guess many of them would be common in around the city from where he grew up, and that you can harvest most of them from there. But the more rarer ones for, serious conditions, you have to sort of travel further afield too. Some would just be in a different city, so you just go to a different city and you buy the thing. But potentially there are ones even more rare that you would have to harvest yourself in the deep wilderness type thing. The X mushroom that is super rare, that has extra sort of healing properties, which even finding one of those would be quite noteworthy for him.
And does he have like a book of mushrooms and stuff, or is it just all in his mind? Or
yeah, thanks for reminding me. So what fueled his failure in physicianing is he hates reading. So any book he just detests, and this is because the first written language that he learnt was physician's script.
So like thieves can't.
Writes, instead of thieves can't. So for a rogue, it's physician's script. And so he's been growing up with his family written in this terrible format, and he just hates reading anything. So
but he can read physician's script. That's really
totally
good.
And he'll read it if he has to, if there is extra, explanatory text, he's going to skip all that. He just detests the whole thing. So he remembers a lot of stuff and is quite good with practical parts of medicine. So, muscle stretches and, knowing that different bones are connected to different things, he can kind of have that in his mind. But if it's in a book, he didn't learn it.
Yeah. I like the idea that, like, for rogues, right, the whole idea of thieves' cant is that things can be written secretly that most people can't understand, but the rogues it might be a hint for, like, go to under the bridge for whatever. And, but for I don't know why. Just under the bridge. Yeah, you're good to go. But with the physicians... With physician's script, I feel like it's all just going to be like health-based notes that have been placed about there, which is also probably under the bridge for other things as well.
Yeah. One other thing that might not happen until later on is the rogue potentially has some sort of poisoning abilities, right? And this would be Beeko's attempt at health potions, which just go really badly because he didn't study any of the health potions. So some of these he remembers went poorly and will potentially learn them as a sort of a poison later on.
Okay.
At level 1, he's pretty naff at most things.
It's Meganus Twitch in the chat said thieves' cant is or was, like a real thing that's sort of more like hieroglyphs, but that's kind of like what most physicians' handwriting is like anyway, right? It's hard to read. Yeah. So it's basically just going to be like doctors' handwriting, and everyone else won't be able to read it, but you'll be able to read it, which is awesome. I think that's cool. Lovejoy, are there any sort of character arcs or things that you'd want us to touch on, or is it just like a go with the flow concept for this one?
I think mostly go with the flow, and like I said at the start, kind of stumbling into heroic acts rather than like relentlessly pursuing them or any need to make a name for himself. I quite like the idea of him being like an accidental hero or finding himself at the center of something much bigger than him or his life.
Okay, cool. Sweet. What else do we have in here? So one of the notes, and it came out. This is a tough one because it's to do with role play, right? Which is taking like serious things seriously. So what I mean by that is like there's quite often very easy for something major to happen, and then you're like, someone close to you has just died, or someone that you've been traveling with is injured or in some way, and it's just like a whatever. It's just like, oh well, let's just loot the body or something like that. Is there well, how is it written here? It's really easy to just shrug off life and death situations, but what's the point of playing if you treat it all like nothing matters? So I think we did a good job of really touching on serious moments in Curse of Strahd. So I'm not sure. How do you guys feel about how we play that kind of stuff? Are you happy how it's been played out in the past?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, you don't actually want it to go too far the other way, right? You don't want to be like, oh, someone's died and now I spend the rest of the session mourning them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't just blow it off, but you need to maybe we have like a time skip or something, like 2 hours later or something.
Yeah, cool. I think in general it ended up pretty good for that kind of stuff. I think there were some situations where it might have just been a role play thing. I think there were moments probably earlier on with getting Dicey where it was just, oh, a thing happened or someone died and just move on real quickly. Or yeah, I think you guys did really well in Curse of Strahd for that. So I don't know.
Yeah, especially like I remember some great things with Morley, with Irina. That was all role played straight, or quite strongly.
Bill was a master of it.
Bill, did you say?
Yeah, Bill was really good at those quite poignant moments.
Yep.
Actually, everyone was really. Like American was great as well. So
yeah,
absolutely.
I think we often gave stuff, a moment to sink in, but there were definitely the odd occasion where perhaps we didn't treat something with the reverence. I don't mean the revenants, just to be throwback.
There were revenants, yeah.
That deserve. I don't know. It's hard to be on all the time, and I don't want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be like everyone's expected to turn in an Oscar-winning, grief-stricken performance. But
it's also
way too bogged down in the moment.
It's the opposite as well. For if something exciting happens for the characters, like so, for example. You go into this beautifully magical area that you've never seen anything the likes of before, and you're just like, all right, where should we head north? It's just like, you know what I mean? Like
it is like me in real life, though.
Yeah. Go to some amazing city and just like go to McDonald's.
But like I said, for me, I think in general it was fine. I hit what I wanted out of it for the most part.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? But I mean, if maybe we can have a way of saying, okay, like if you want it to be like more awe-inspiring or something, maybe just say like, oh, we won't rush over this part. This is like a life-changing event for your character or something like that. Just be clear about that.
And I want you guys to kind of
sometimes
decide those
might
things.
not pick up on the cues.
Yeah, and I'd like you guys to decide. I think there's going to be a lot of me passing the baton over to you guys for a lot of this, which I want to try, play with as well. So it's like I want you to tell me if this is an important thing for your character instead of me trying to convince you that it's important for your character. If that makes sense. If we go into a room, I might kind of describe the basics of it, but I want you to tell me what's in this room this time. If that kind of makes sense. If there's anything important of note, then I'll obviously let you know of those things. But in general, I'm happy for you to sort of tell me what fills this room up, what takes your character's eye, and it can be whatever. And I know when it comes to using maps in Roll20, you can kind of just look at the map and go, oh, what I see on the map is all that exists in the room. But that doesn't have to be the case. Doesn't at all have to be the case. If you guys, instead of saying to me, oh, is there a candle on that bookshelf that I can take, just tell me that you take the candle off the book, because it's like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. As long as it's not, I take the thing that the +6 sword off the wall. It's like, that that wasn't there. But yeah, I want to say yes as much as possible, basically.
Right, like you're fighting someone, you reach down and pull the rug out from under their feet, but you've never actually described that there's a rug there.
Yeah, and I don't want to, because I didn't make a note that this room had a rug or not. I don't want to be like, oh no, this room doesn't have a rug. I was like, there may not be a rug. Or you
swing from a chandelier, or you
yeah. There may not be a rug in a cavern
in the jungle,
but yeah. So as long
there's
as
some vines or something,
yeah. I just don't want to say no to stuff. I think I feel I don't think I've said no to many things, but I feel like there were moments where I stuck a little too closely to descriptions that I was given instead of just being open to whatever.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Rule of cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it.
One big point for me, and it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's a frustration, because it was more of a something that occurred because of how long the campaign was, which is the why are we even here? So if we can take notes along the journey, I don't think this one's going to be hugely long. But yeah, feel free to take notes along the way and answer other people's questions and stuff. But yeah, it was only because like Curse of Stride was like 3 years long, and that
it's a labyrinth as well.
Things kept popping up from like session 9 when we were at session 70 something. So it made sense that things were forgotten. And I should have the answers for most things.
It makes sense that why I kept forgetting that while we were going to Mount Gak East, though. Literally the previous fucking session, we've been talking about the dead sister. Where are we going?
That was the best example of it, wasn't it? I was doing the same thing in the Amber Temple. It's like, why are we in the Amber Temple? It's like, I've climbed this giant fucking mountain to get here. So... But yeah, it's because there's so much in that book.
It was massive. Yeah. So this one won't be 3 years.
I really struggle to take written notes during the campaign. I honestly, like, if session 0 is all about being absolutely honest and upfront, like I can't see myself writing stuff down when I'm playing a role-playing game. But I do think, like, my memory was pretty good in Curse of Strahd.
All things
sometimes I ham stuff up, but like the why are we even here? Like that became a running joke. But it's not like most of the time I genuinely forgot why the fuck we were even, who's this guy Strahd you keep talking about? Like, yeah, I don't know. Just not really a note taker.
No, like I said, I don't mind if only one person takes notes. I just don't want to be the person who has to keep answering all of the questions 10 times. The same question again and again, and that only happened a few times, but it's enough to be just like someone should be taking notes. So designate someone who's going to take notes. And I understand it's hard to like if we're going to be playing every Monday for months, and it's what it looks like it's going to be. It's hard to be on for the entire 2 hours every week. So I understand if you miss stuff, and don't be afraid to ask stuff, but. If you ask, try not to ask again.
Just being upfront, my memory in real life is bad, but quite happy to take notes. And quite happy for you to use a little when it's something important that I potentially need to write down.
And I'm making it sound more important than it really is. Like, I'm not going to just go,
You do need a siren.
Yeah. I'm not going to be like, well, you've forgotten, so your character doesn't know anymore. I'll totally give you the answers. Because just because you don't remember it doesn't mean your character wouldn't, if that makes sense. So
you're not going to be a dick,
I'm happy to
but
take
you don't want
notes,
us to make you Yeah.
Yeah.
Furious.
Yeah.
Respect the campaign.
Yeah. Which you guys normally do as well. What are there any no-goes for you guys? Things you don't want us to touch on at all?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I don't really want to get into, and he's describing them as probably worse than anything that would even come up in the game.
Yeah. I think there's the typical no bringing up references from 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Maybe
No
reverse
detective
would be
show
easier.
references.
Like, the premise is we're here to play D&D and have fun.
Yeah.
That should shape a bunch of it, right? Rather than, all right, there's some horrible stuff I found on the internet. Let's not talk about that. We need to draw a picture of this. I don't want this to come up. And then you get the thing, and then, don't talk about that either.
Yeah.
So,
I think we all understand that
Yes.
there's like some very, very obvious topics that we never want to touch on when it comes to D&D. But are there some less obvious ones, I guess? Do you guys have phobias of balloons and you're like, can't have balloons in this one?
Oh. Volcanoes? I hate
shit.
those.
Okay, well, fuck. All right.
Mushrooms. I never want to hear about any kind of fungi.
Dwarves.
So some of the examples we had there is like threatening innocent NPCs, stealing from party members into party conflict, romancing other player characters, characters just going off on their own. Are there things that we just don't want to?
Oh, these are good examples.
Yes,
yeah. Really good.
Because okay.
Yeah.
So something that's maybe not so much a topic, but just something you just don't want to have.
It's a play style, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Just don't be
Contrarian.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should all aim to be a group, a friendly group that helps each other out. That would be good.
I mean, one thing we butted up against a bunch in Curse of Strahd was how we make decisions as a group.
Yeah, good point.
Almost wanting to be too polite and then not really getting anywhere, and then maybe over-indexing the other way and being like, well, let's just fucking do this then. And then one person feeling like, oh, well, hang on, I thought we would cross that bridge and we weren't going to do that.
It's a hard thing. As soon as you've got multiple people with different people's opinions, there's always going to be some moments where maybe one person doesn't want to do the thing that the others do, or the vice versa. The person with the loudest voice wants to do something and the others don't. So, it's just making sure we know how to deal with that when that comes up. And like you're saying, the other thing is like, everyone being like, oh, I don't want to say what I want to do because then I'm the first to talk, and maybe that's not the thing. But I don't want to step on other people's toes. How do we want to deal with that?
Yeah, and you do want to have some room to be impulsive as well, right? And,
should we use a system from World of Warcraft? Like, when you get an item, you can need or greed. So, like, you really need this. Like, Beeko sees this mushroom and he really wants to collect it, and you can kind of convey your character's importance on a thing. Like, this is really important to Beeko. But if there is money, well, sure, Beeko will take the money, but it potentially might be a need for that guy.
Yes, that sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, I like that.
Stating how important it is to follow a course of action or something to your character. Yeah, I like it.
I think that might be the thing that was missing is people were quick to offer something to do or a direction for something, but didn't voice the importance or the reasoning behind picking that choice. So that could be awesome. Magnus Twitch in the chat said looking up rules mid-combat is a big one. That's, I don't mind that too much because, I definitely don't know all the rules. I guess the only thing I can take away from that I would suggest is know your characters. If you're going to be picking a specific skills or spells, just look at them before you just whip it out for the first time. Because I think there was quite a lot of situations where a spell, we were dealing with a spell, and as we were reading it out, we were realizing, okay, that's not going to be for it. Or we would do it, and then a repercussion from that spell would occur that maybe the player hadn't thought about, or I overruled, and it led to bad things. Or someone, plays a character, and for 2/3 of it, they didn't realize they had a specific skill. So
not to make it personal, of course.
I just said someone.
Yeah.
It suddenly became really powerful.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Because I won't know your character's skills and spells as well as you should know them, I guess is the thing. I will just take your guys' word for it in general. Until I see chat going, that's not how that spell works. And then I'm like, fuck it, let's take a look into the spell.
It's spells mostly that does it, isn't it? Spells,
yes,
because they're written like lawyer speak. Sometimes.
Everything in D&D is.
Yeah.
Mm. Lucky I'm a sorcerer this time. That won't be cropping up much at all. I think last time I only had 2 spells to remember, and I constantly got them wrong. So this should be good.
They say in the chat, says, I've got a rule in my game, if you don't know how an ability works on your turn, then you can't use it. It's no looking it up then and there. That's an interesting one. I think you get maybe you get that once or twice.
Yeah, I'd say if you completely don't know how to do it at all, then you can. But if you've got it slightly wrong, then that's you, and you've tried. You'd still work through it.
Yeah,
that was actually something I really enjoyed about the last campaign, is having John pipe up and be like, oh, it's actually this or whatever, learning more about the game from your fellow players. That was really good.
Yeah, John's is a bit of an encyclopedia for the D&D stuff. We're going to be missing that this campaign.
He's like that in fighting games as well.
I guess you just need a new encyclopedic knowledge.
I'll send you the player's handbook there, Adam. You can commit it to memory.
Already got it. You wouldn't know, but I've had it for years.
Here's an interesting question. Are there any behaviors that count as a strike towards someone being asked to leave? Look, honestly,
probably
I think
the opposite. If you did the opposite of what everyone else wants to do all the time, it might be a bit
just working against the party.
Wearing people down.
Yeah. I don't see this occurring, considering the last campaign was 3 years and the last half went pretty smoothly.
Yeah. I mean, most of it went smoothly. General agreement to just yes and. So tempting to make your character an edgelord that says no to plot points, but really it just slows the game down and takes away from interesting plot.
Sorry, what was that one?
Basically just saying yes to stuff. So if someone suggests something, not just going, no, because I would rather do this. It's how can you say yes to what they've suggested while also maybe adjusting it to make it so your character is happy to go along with it for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And you can do no buts.
No buts.
Yeah. No, you can go no but, and it's still pretty much the same thing.
I'd rather a yes but.
Yes, but
they don't teach you no but in theatre sports.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they should.
Oh my God! Look at that boat over there. There's no boat over there, but there is a train, which is my idea.
I would say, yeah. You acknowledge that there is a boat there, but you.
That's the yes part.
No. All right. Yes, boat. No, train. You can tell I'm an expert.
Yeah, you've done this before, Shannon.
Studied theatre sports for many years.
Sorry, what's your example? So someone.
Yeah, no.
Yes, you say, but
yes, there is a boat, but there actually isn't.
No, there is a boat, but
it's on the back of a train.
It's on fire.
Yeah,
It's fire.
Let's get on the train.
A train, which is my idea.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Your no but sounds a lot like a yes and. I will say that.
Yes, but no.
What's the opposite? Where you just disagree?
No, and
What would
no.
be a good example of like in D&D being like,
My character.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so like my character grabs your hand and leads you into this room. Oh no, I wouldn't do that. Like, no, my character just stays completely with her. No, it's completely inconsequential.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Or being like, could someone open this door? Like, I'm not strong enough. Can you get in there with your strength and knock that door? And just being like, let's look for a window. It's just like, okay, well, you could go and look
my
for a
character
window,
decides not to help at all.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Even though they would do that every other time until you asked.
I didn't use the word please, so my character just wets himself.
Something like that, yeah. Not to take things personally. If someone's rude to your character, you have to separate that from real life. I don't know where that one came up. I don't know what led to that.
What's that one? What was that?
Basically, just the rule of try not to take things personally. If someone is rude to your character, try and separate that. Don't take that feeling on yourself.
Yeah, although we need to, I think that works if you both are in on it.
Yes.
From before it even happens. Like, say, hey, my character is going to do this. He's going to, how do you feel about that? And the other player would be like, yeah, that's cool. Let's go with that. And once you've done that enough times, you build up some typical responses or actions. But if you just bust it out and your character's a dick to the other character all of a sudden, and it doesn't really flow on from anything else, that's when someone would get annoyed, wouldn't it?
Like American Seasons, like we knew that when she was in that winter mode, she was colder and harsher.
Yeah, that was kind of just like a known.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
This is a great list, by the way. So many things to talk about in advance.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I'm not bringing up because I think they were very specific to a very certain point in getting Dicey's history. So some I'm just ignoring.
Okay.
If you want to help, raise a hand. DM will try to see. In other words, if someone's talking and they're trying to do something like attack someone or do something or try to solve a puzzle by doing something, if you are like, oh, my character could help, if you want to like join in some way, just raise your hand and I'll see. Other than like trying to talk over someone, and that just makes, and that just, I think with any of the sort of online meetings and using video conferencing, it's very easy to talk over people and miss the chance. So I think we're all in a pretty good habit of, if someone else is doing something, just raising your hand and I can make sure that I can bring you into that moment as well. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. We're getting close to the end of the list here. Metagaming, just an agreement. This is going to be easy because it says agreement not to look up plot points. Well, there's no book for you guys to
there's no plot.
There's no plot. Not to look up plot points, characters, and monsters. If you know about monsters beforehand, just don't tell your character. That's fair. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys might have come across characters personally, but your characters may not have. So that means if you know that a certain character is weak to fire damage, and you guys are just like, hey, I know this is a guy, everyone just use fire on this guy, even though it's your character's first time stumbling upon him, that might be a bit strange. A little bit of metagaming. Just got to stay away from that. But it's a trust system, so I'll trust you guys not to do that. We had something, again, this was something that we brought in for a specific thing, and I like the idea of it, but I don't see us needing it, which was something that Shannon introduced me to, which is the Chaos Hero system. So that means basically, if your PC crosses, your character crosses a line too many times, starts being a little bit chaotic or more evil, if they cross that line too many times, they become an NPC controlled by me. Basically, it's like you don't know what your character is just frustrating everybody with goodbye kind of thing.
You're murdering children. You're walking into a room and murdering all the children or something like that.
Yeah, not
That's
doing heroic
an evil
things.
point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just like slightly annoying, or you're actually doing your character's being evil, and it's just a bummer for most other players.
Which I really, again, like I said, I think a lot of these points were written at a very specific point in getting Dicey history, which I don't think we need a lot of it now.
So just 1 point for murdering a room of children.
and you can get that back. You can do a really good thing, and then the point goes.
Cool.
Yeah, you just clean the room afterwards. That's fine.
Just clear, spotless.
Yeah, Ajax. A lot of bleach.
Scott Watson.
But I think it all just comes back down to the main rule of just don't be a dick. If everyone thinks that what you did was a dick move, then it was a dick move. Just say sorry and move on. It's just like simple as that, really.
Yeah, and I think maybe people need to be clearish, as like quite clear, and say like, I don't like that. Can we go back 10 minutes and undo that or something?
I'm totally happy for that kind of stuff to occur. I'm also
potentially. I don't see that actually happening, but.
Nah. My DMs are always open if you guys have an issue with how I'm running things, or if I'm doing certain things that might annoy you. And we're all adults, so if you are happy to go to each other if something comes up, then please do. If you're not comfortable doing that, then just come to me, and I'll do my best to listen and try and sort stuff out. But I think that's kind of the main list of rules. Do you guys have any questions about, like, the campaign?
Just before we go into questions about the campaign,
Sure.
One other thing I'd be keen to cover in session 0 is our timekeeping, start, finish, how we get into it. So last time I felt like we always started at 7:30, but we talked for ages, and like obviously it was super enjoyable. But if we're starting at 8, I'd be pretty keen to just start at 8 and like get into it quite rapidly.
Cool.
And I'd also be quite keen on like a hard stop that we agree on. Like, early mornings. Some of us got kids. Yeah.
So are we happy just 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock? 10 is the cutoff then?
Iron.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. That works for me.
And I'm with you. It'd be nice to get as much D&D in as we can.
Yeah.
Because it is nice to, and we always get on a roll with chatting or something.
Yeah.
But if we can just go, boom,
does
we're into D&D land.
Who wants to be in charge of like making sure our sort of mid break is a bit more adhered to? Because if we're only doing 8 till 10, we've got even less time than we normally do, right? So we want to make sure that break in the middle doesn't go on for 20 minutes like it usually does.
Yeah, I'd even be happy to call that like a 5-minute break at the halfway point. Like,
we do call it a 5-minute break, but
yeah, I know, but not the time we spent it like 15.
Yeah.
But like 5 minutes is enough time to go to the toilet or get a drink or quickly pop out and do something and back. So
okay, maybe that's the first thing. Are we happy for a 5-minute break, or do we want a 10-minute break? What do you guys gravitate more towards? Because I can do either. So if you guys are happy to fit whatever you need to fit in 5 minutes, we can do 5 minutes.
If I start, like, my camera starts flashing, then that's time to go back.
Okay, yeah. Okay. We can do that. Okay, cool. We'll do a hard 5-minute break. Anything else? Anything else that you guys would like to touch on that I haven't already touched on? How long is your expectations for this campaign? Obviously, we're not going to do 3 years. We don't want to do 3 years. I get that, and we won't. We're not going to drag out a level 5 campaign of 1 to 5 out over 3 years. But it would be good to know what you guys are keen on. Do you want this wrapped up in like before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll do another one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy, to be honest. Like a year is probably like, it's a long time to dedicate to doing something every Monday night, and there'll be Mondays that we can't make it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's going to be the odd Monday where someone's sick, and with only 3 players this time, that might be more of an impact than last time, where one person was away and there was 4, 5 of us at times.
Yeah.
As an idea to float, potentially the end of this year could be a point regardless. So chapter 1 finishes, or part 1, or whatever, so that there is we did a thing, we got to a point, and then a thing, and then potentially the whole thing is already done, or part 2, or something in a different slot. So there is a kind of a definite, we made it, we got through X, whatever X is, and we can kind of juggle it from there, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could get this done in like 20-25 sessions. I think would be about what I'm sort of aiming for. I think that'd be about right. Our Lost Mine campaign was like 37, and that took us about a year. So I'd like to have it wrapped up before Christmas, or wrap up in time for Christmas.
Time we'd be more decisive as well, right? Because I think maybe half the time is us chatting before it starts, and then while we're playing, we're like, oh, should we do this? Should we do that? And we have like an average of 1 room per session, and then we have quite a big break in the middle and stuff like that. We
Chatting
get stuff done, but
hello.
yeah, exactly. All the modern stuff
took up a lot of time.
Exactly. So I mean, I think we'll probably be. This is something that Sig was really good at, is moving things along by opening the door. And something then happens.
Yeah. I think something to note this time is just don't be afraid to be decisive. If you want to do something, just throw it out there, just do it. And if people are specifically against it, great, then that might lead to a conversation. I just don't want 10 minutes going over, like sometimes we would do like 50 minutes going over a specific plan over and over and over, just to try and get everyone on the same path. It doesn't need, I don't think that needs to happen. I think maybe people felt a bit more because of the size of Curse of Strahd, that and how intense Curse of Strahd was, that any wrong move could lead to something horrific. I guess there's the thing is trust me that I'm not. I want to lead you guys down a fun path. I'm going to take you down. So there's no wrong thing that you can do. I will try to do
under the bridge.
Just under the bridge. Trust that I will try and make it good feel. That just sounds worse.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah. And that maybe that leads on to like, how do you feel about player death? Because we've got to be explaining all of this stuff and agreeing to everything, and then next session is TPK.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm okay. I played enough characters that it would be pretty bummer if I died, but I don't want to be overly cautious.
Yeah.
What would happen? Would we have another character come in, or?
So, when it came to character death in Curse of Strahd, right? In the back of my mind, there was always very much the chance and risk of you guys dying, but I'd always, without letting you guys in on it, there was always going to be ways for your characters to come back in the same sort of way that American came back towards the end. There was literally an angel living in the land that had a revive spell. There was ways for you to come back. So with this one, I don't know if there's that specific thing that I want to build in this time. Your characters, if you guys are happy for them to be able to die, then they'll be able to die. There's that risk, right? Especially at the lower levels. Do you want it to feel like there is... Surely you want risk, right? You want to feel like a wrong step could...
Bubble boy, that's what we want.
Yeah.
I guess this is the difference between like old D&D and new D&D.
Yeah.
The old one was more about game mechanics and really trying to survive and roll those dice all the time. And the new one is more about an overarching story, and we know that there's an end to it. It's not just a dungeon. There's an adventure.
In the old ones, it wasn't
plot.
about how does your character know everyone and what's their, like, how do they fit in with the adventure. It's just
there's a bit of that, but it's
end.
obviously more of that now.
I think it could just be trust the DM to sort of weigh that impact as it works, right? For example, if we're all level 1 and someone crit fails, kind of like stepping over a log, if they insta die, well, that potentially is one ramification. But if they, take a ballista to the forehead in the middle of battle because they ran into it, well, then maybe that does deserve death. And I think, Reagan, you've had enough experience and can call that, and you kind of have to have that power given to the DM to do that as you dictate, right? Because otherwise you're not a DM if you can't control the world that we're living in. So I think just however you want to roll it, dude.
Okay, because I want you guys to feel like you could lose your characters. I think nothing's as meaningful if you just, or if you think your character's invulnerable, you're just going to run into battle without any kind of strategy, right? You're just going to run and go, we can't die, so this is easy. So I would say maybe have a backup character then. Maybe it would be good just to have another character in the back of your mind just in case. Especially for something that's a little shorter, since this isn't going to be a 3-year campaign, right? No?
Cool.
Maybe? Okay, cool.
Would the rating of it go treat your character's life as if it's a life?
Yeah, pretty much. But also, I mean, then you get that kind of thing is like, well, would my character even run into battle, or would they just run away crying? So it's there is like
they wouldn't leave home.
I think it should be hard to die, but not impossible.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page. I think.
Adventure-y though, right? We're gonna risk a bit of risk taking.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, you guys do have like spells and skills and abilities and stuff that your average commoner wouldn't have. So,
yeah, if you said there's a chasm over there, and I was like, well, I'm gonna jump across the chasm, and you're like, it's gonna come down to the roll of a dice. Do you still want to do it? And I was like, yes, because it's gonna look awesome if I do it. And then I failed. I'd be like, fuck. Well, I wouldn't expect you to be stepping in to be like. But luckily, at the last moment, you grab onto a branch like you're fucking Scooby-Doo or something.
Did Scooby-Doo do that?
Constantly.
It's a classic Scooby move. Yeah.
I think if it was a situation like that, I think I just need to make sure that you guys are aware of how hard something is. So if you're like, I want to do this jump over the chasm, I'd be like, well, you need to roll a 17. And
you have to say it's a life or death thing.
Yeah. You're like, and it's life or death. If you miss, you guys gone, and you're like, I've got a -1. Let's go.
Leroy.
Yeah.
It's more like a Wile E. Coyote
Wile E.
down the chasm.
Coyote.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
What's the thoughts around inter-character chat outside of character? So would I say, my character says this, but then I talk in my voice, and then your character talks in their voice, but you talk as a human, or like how do we want to do that?
I think how you did Sig was a great sort of way to go forward. No one was ever like, my character says, and then puts on a voice and says it. They'll just like say it. Like as soon as Adam, for example, he would use his character's voice anytime he was in character, and anytime he was just talking to the group out of like, hey, can we just talk about something? He just uses normal voice. So depends. It's purely situational, right? All about context. If you want to continue talking in your character, though, like if you want to have moments where your character is like having a moment and wanting to talk through something, then that's awesome as well. I like the idea of talking through the strategy of something as your characters.
Gotcha, thanks.
But it's like there's no hard and fast rule for it. Basically, play however you want to play and see what works best for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Does the chat have any questions about the campaign, or have we not touched on something that we should have talked about? Or is everyone gone? Everyone's gone, I think. That's fair. I know we've still got people there. No, it's all good.
They're never coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, well, I've gone through sort of my list of stuff. I'm pretty confident that it'll be just a good campaign. Good campaign with some good players, so I'm pretty happy. Couldn't quite convince Joe to jump in. I tried, but it is what it is.
Keep trying.
Keep
Every
trying.
day. Just say, do you know what? It's either join the campaign or we're getting a divorce. Just, everyone loves an ultimatum.
I might do that. I'll do that.
Ponder that relationship advice from me, Dr. Love.
Lovejoy.
Joe's in the chat. She said Joe is a chatter now. She's in the chat at the moment.
I'm going to miss Joe because her roleplay was top notch. And that's not my strength in playing, but I like to see it.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
I'm not going to miss Joe because she's going to come back.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to miss her for a very short time.
Yeah.
Maybe when she sees what fun we're all having, she'll be like, I want to be a part of that. And we'll welcome her back with open arms.
She can be just someone else who was convinced to leave you guys in the woods, but she's felt guilty and come back to find you.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got it all figured out for you, Joe.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Or she was only slightly better than us, and they ended up dropping her off the next morning.
Yeah, she could be
Yeah,
like
but slowly losing
woodworker or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think
I think
that's
she wants to play a space robot. Is that what?
Yeah. What are those? What's it? The Warforged. She wants to definitely play a Warforged.
Yeah. Warforged.
She says kind words and also many threats. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the carrot and the stick.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we call it, effectively, your characters have been traveling with this merchant group for a wee while. You've been traveling east across Faerun. I haven't figured out the exact place on the map for that yet, but you've been traveling east, and there's like this moment where you've noticed some sort of chattering amongst the group, and the group decides as a whole to just move off the path, just head north away from the main road, just to do some foraging and resupply some certain herbs and see if there's a river nearby we can top up some water and stuff like that. And they also it's been maybe an hour of travel off this road. You're going way further into the forest than you might think you'd need to go, that your group would need to go to do this foraging. And suddenly there's sort of talk about maybe this would be a good place in the middle of this forest to just call it a night, which is weird because it's like 3 PM. So it's very strange. But there's drinking involved and chatter involved, and everyone's having a good time, and the night sort of slips away. And that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. And we'll pick this up in a couple of weeks. So next Monday I'm away, so we won't be jumping in. But the following Monday, session 1, the Kalderra's Call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, me too.
Thank you
Very
all.
much looking forward
That's
to
great.
it. I've still got a lot of prep to get. I've got to get everything into Roll20 now, because at the moment it's all just sort of one note notes. Cool. All right. Well, we can call it here, and we'll try and get it all wrapped up by 10 o'clock. In general, if we go over by like 5 minutes or so, that's kind of the most I would ever want to go over in the future. No, not even 5 minutes. Okay. Well, 10 at the very latest. Okay. All right.
No orange car. I'm getting withdrawals. I can't believe I'm missing it. Anyway, that one's a joke.
Someone in the
All
chat
right.
says they're totally Gregged about it. Someone said they're hyped. Someone said they're very Gregged about it, which is fair. That's
Okay.
sorry. Greg was Reese. Greg was one of our most beloved characters from Curse of Strahd.
Nice.
Everyone's Gregged in chat. That's good.
All right.
All right, good night, everyone. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'll try and
Thanks,
do
Phil.
some prep streams between now and then, so you can watch me finish off the Kalderra map, as well as start moving stuff into Roll20 and sorting out a few extra little bits and pieces. So I'll probably do a few prep streams between now and then. But keep an eye on the Discord for any of those who are currently watching who needs a link to the Discord. There it is. And if you just want to see any of our previous stuff, there is a link to our YouTube. And if you want merch, not that I have any of my merch on me at the moment. No, I don't. There's a link anyway. You can buy shirts and a cool mug and stuff like that. It's very cool. But anyway, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. See you all.
Thanks all. Ciao.
See you.